I did want to get some quick draft thoughts. Just uh, it's it's really insane how fast the turnaround is because the draft is like less than 2 weeks away already. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Grizzlies decide to do. For now, I still think that like if it was up to me, I'd still say they used the pick in a trade most likely. But who knows at this point, man? It might be all the way up until the day of the draft for us to figure that out. And even if we do get to the day of the draft, I mean, we know that Zach Kleiman also has a really, he loves to trade up on draft night as well. So that's another possibility that we could be looking at either trading up or maybe trading back a little bit. Who knows? But assuming that they do keep the pick, there are a couple players that I do think that they could go with. I know a lot of people have been talking about like Gigi Jackson, the Brandon Pods kid. I know a lot of people have been talking about him as well. There's a lot of dudes like Bryce Sensabaugh, which is a guy that I've looked at, and I think that he'd be a solid draft pick as well. Kind of fits that small forward role from Ohio State. So, but I will say this: if as you're going through when you're looking at the draft class and you're trying to figure out who are the Grizzlies going to pick, I always say they have a blueprint. So look for guys that were, plus 37% from three in college, probably at least 2 or 3 attempts a game, like at the minimum. And I'd also look for guys that have positive wingspans. I mean, besides Desmond Bain, like that's basically been every single pick. And guys that have over 2 steals or blocks per game, combined stocks. Because that's something they always look at is how can you impact the game on the defensive end? Can you force turnovers? Can you help get out in transition? And then, like, obviously, they're going to look at all the other stuff like athleticism, height, and stuff like that. But I think that it's going to be interesting to see exactly what they decide to do. Because like I said, if it was up to me, I'd still rather use that pick probably in a trade for a guy like OG Anunoby. But if that trade doesn't come to fruition, there are some solid guys that you could look at that 25 spot, or maybe even look to trade up a little bit. Because there's been a lot of clamor already about teams not just in the lottery, but teams kind of in that like 15 to 20 range that might be willing to trade out of that pick as well.
Yeah, shoot. And to talk about trading, shoot, I think Shams reported it. Like, I think the Pelicans trying to move up to like 3 or 2 to get Scoop. So, like, literally after 1, it's going to probably be a crazy night. And so, like you said, to your point, the Grizz always trade up. So, like, I could see them doing that if they keep the pick. Personally, I don't know if they're gonna might keep the pick. Like again, I think they'll either if they don't keep the pick, they'll bring in a rookie, whether that's a 2-way or a second round pick. They'll still bring in somebody, but it's interesting, like because you said they can go a lot of different ways. Because I know a few people talked about Gigi Jackson. A few people talk about like a Derek Whitehead, and I think you got Ben Shepherd, Jed Howard, Bryson Sabah from Ohio State. Shout out to Buckeye Nation. I'm an Ohio State fan, so I would love Bryce on this team.
No, we don't. We're not doing no Buckeye stuff on this show, man. Let's keep
What's
it
wrong with
moving.
Buckeyes,
Come on
man?
now.
I'm just saying
Let's keep it
Buckeye Nation.
moving,
That's
man. Let's
all.
keep it
That's
moving,
all
man.
I'm
Come on,
saying,
we're not
man.
doing that today.
All I'm saying. All I'm saying, man. Hey, good play. All I'm saying is good player. That's all I'm saying. But
He is
they
a
got
good
a lot of
player. He is a really
yeah,
good player. Like that's why I
yeah,
mentioned him too. I do like Bryce Sensabaugh a lot, so I would not be
yeah.
mad at it at all.
But they got a lot of different players they could go. And it really just depends because a lot of the people that are talked about could go higher than where the Grizzlies are. Because I think the Grizz have the 25th pick and I think they have the 45th pick in the second round. So they got 2 picks. But again, I don't expect them to stay at them spots because they never have. So it'll be interesting, man. I do think they'll do I think, like you said, it'll come down to the day. Like I think they'll do, if that's my prediction, I think they'll make a move during the draft day instead of before, like they've done before in the past. I think it'll happen that day. A lot of stuff will happen that day, and there'll be one of the moves or many moves that happen because, like, the draft range after 1 is kind of crazy. I mean, you gotta set 2 to 3, top 3, but after 3, it's gonna be crazy, bro. Even after 2, maybe I don't know, bro. It's gonna be a crazy night, and I'm ready for it. Obviously, we'll keep y'all updated. We'll give y'all updates and stuff like that, or when it happens. But like, yeah, it's gonna be wild, man. and the Grizzlies are probably going to be a team that's part of the madness that goes on draft night. So it'll be interesting. It'll be fun. I'll be here for it. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's and I'm like you said, they've been a part of the madness on every draft night the last couple years and whatever it is that's going on, and then you go back. But I will say, like after last year, I do not see them bringing in more than max 2 rookies. I maybe one at like I because last year they brought in 5. There's no way they're doing that again. Like we know that for a fact. So it's gonna be there's a lot of stuff that the front office is gonna have to consider, like what trade offers they're gonna have and stuff like that. That's gonna be the biggest thing. And then if they are gonna be able to use that trade for a guy like OG, or for a guy like Cam Johnson, there's a lot of guys that you could look at that maybe they could use it in a draft night trade. So I think that's a big possibility. And then, but I do also think there's a possibility that they just stay at 25 and make the pick. If the dominoes fall the right way and they feel like they can get, like you said, Bryce Sensabaugh there, they might just stay there and be like, hey, if that's who we get there, we can take them. And they are confident. If there's one thing the Grizzlies are confident in, it's their player development staff, even with Darko leaving. And I don't think that's really going to change regardless of what's happening. So I think if they think that they have a chance to get the guy that they want at 25, they'll stay there. But like I said, if it was up to me, I'd still use that pick on somebody else.